appoint a second special counsel to investigate Mueller, Comey, Lynch, and the Clintons. He's got to. Nobody else can do it.
Why does he have to?
Because nobody else can do it. And
why do you need another investigator?
Because Comey, as we've now found out, he lied more than we even thought. We know that Mueller was his confidant. By law, Mueller is disqualified from investigating Comey. We have got to have a second special prosecutor to investigate. And Jeff Sessions recused himself from anything touching Russia. Well, the Clintons touched Russia. So only the president is going to be able to make that appointment. He's got to do that for the sake of the country.
But if he does that, that's going to be a bigger story. It's going to be like, he's trying to get rid of Mueller.
It would have been better if he could have fired Mueller. But the very day Comey testified that there is no collusion between Trump and the Russians, that was a day that Mueller realized, oh my gosh, I don't have a basis for being here. So he leaked out that very day, I'm now investigating Trump for obstruction, just so that Trump couldn't fire him and he could keep his job. Comey and Mueller colluded to get a special counsel. We've got to have a special counsel to investigate Comey's lies, and Mueller can't do it. He's disqualified. We've got to have a second special counsel.
Well, let's see what happens.
All right, Louis, thank you.
Always great to be with you, my friend. Thank you.
So what do you think?
Remember, Comey, 2 weeks before he testified in front of Congress, went and met with Mueller privately as though he was still working for the government and he had already been fired. So him meeting with Mueller as a private citizen who was fired by the government is another big problem for Mueller and Comey's investigation into anything. The collusion that's going on between those two is definitely shown to be accurate by all accounts by
story. Watch this.
The NSA, for example, has all the fiber optic taps across the United States and even around the world, plus trace route programs embedded in hundreds of places all over the network. So I knew they would know if packets were being passed around the U.S. or outside the U.S. or anywhere in the world, they could trace them and see who got them. I mean, they did that several years ago with the Chinese hack that came in that said it came from that building, I think, in Shanghai. Well, they could do the same thing with virtually any hack. So right away, I began to question that assertion that they were hacking into the DNC.
No, I had Bill Binney on my radio program. He said 99% certainty. 34-year veteran, NSA, that it was not Russia. Now, some news outlets have also been reporting that former U.S. spies doubt this Russia hacking narrative, including Bloomberg. They were in an article entitled, Why Some U.S. Ex-Spies Don't Buy the Russia Story. Even the liberal Nation, they wrote a new report, raises big questions about last year's DNC hack. The Washington Times did the same thing. Joining us now, California, Congressman Dana Rohrabacher. One, I want to give you credit. It is true that if there's one person on earth that would know the source of this, wouldn't it be Julian Assange of WikiLeaks? And isn't it true WikiLeaks has never been wrong in 11 years?
Well, I don't know if they've never been wrong, but I know that he's the ultimate source.
Never been proven wrong. And the material they've released.
Proven wrong. Oh, yeah. The things that he released were honest and truthful. Now, some of the things he released, I'll have to admit to you, I would have preferred him not releasing. I thought it was wrong, but you take a balance of what's happened. He's disclosed massive amounts of information of which the government's been keeping secret from us. And I think it's a good thing that American people have transparency in their government.
One thing, and I've interviewed him 4 times on radio and 1 time on TV, and I asked him numerous times, would you ever release anything that would put people in the field, innocent people, in harm's way? And he swore he would not. Are you convinced that that's true? Because I can't think of an instance. Can you?
Well, when you say it's whether or not someone is intentionally doing that, I certainly don't believe that he would intentionally put American intelligence or military people at risk. But some of the things that have come out, and I would have preferred, I would think, Yeah, well, not only embarrassing, but perhaps it's something that would have been best handled behind the scenes. But our government and all governments around the world have tried to hide massive amounts of information about what they're doing from their own people. And I think that what we have in WikiLeaks is an exposure that
I don't mean
those things that they want to keep secret.
You know, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, 3 times, 5 times. Allegedly, Julian Assange at 16, Kim.com at 16, hacked into the DOD, hacked into NASA. Now, he's 45. At what point is it America's fault that we have not built the cybersecurity to prevent that from happening? And at some point, do we blame our own government for its failure?
Well, I will just have to say that I don't think our government should have as many secrets as they have, and they've been keeping information from us. And
they're not doing their job.
Operation. Well,
we should be unhackable after 35 years.
Well, we should be unhackable, but we should make sure that information that doesn't deserve to be secret should be available to the American people.
Okay.
And in that, Julian Assange is doing a great service.
Let's talk about...
A great service.
So he would be the one person that knows where this information came from.
Right.
Do you believe that this Trump-Russia collusion narrative will be proven false, and do you believe he holds the key?
The answer is absolutely yes, and I think that this Russian narrative that you're talking about, this idea, this unrelenting, sinister, story about how Trump colluded with the Russians in order to steal the elections is a total con job. It's a fraud, and it's masking a power grab, because what they're doing is they're trying to undermine the ability of the person the voters voted for. They're undermining his ability to assume the power and authority and appointments that the President of the United States is given authority to do by the voters.
It is possible that the media has lied to the American people, and the Democrats have lied to the American people for nearly a year, and that they've disrupted the flow of information and manipulated the flow of information in this country for nearly a year. You're saying, what is the percentage certainty that this has all been a lie?
Oh, I would, in terms of what I believe, and after looking into this, I think it's about 99% that it's a total lie. This is and of course you've had these people who politicized our intelligence agencies, the Obama appointees who jumped into this, giving credence to a total fraudulent analysis of what happened. And this was not something where Russia colluded with Trump in order to steal the elections.
Mueller then?
They are stealing the elections.
Doesn't Robert Mueller then need to talk to Assange? Doesn't he need to at least look at the evidence or attempt to get the evidence? Does he care about the truth? And doesn't
these people haven't even looked at Hillary Clinton's collusion with the Russians, where they put tens of millions of dollars
uranium
into the Clinton Foundation. Unbelievable. But then they want to find out, did someone with President Trump actually talk in some ways?
Okay.
And then they complain about me. By the way, just
I'm about to lose you.
I've had a lot of people who attack me. I am the chairman of the committee that oversees our relations with Russia. It is my job.
You have a specific message for the President of the United States, but it's only one that you could tell him privately. In this environment, is it going to be hard to tell him privately? Because, Dana Rohrabacher is now sending back messages from Julian Assange. Is that going to be possible? And if not, will you go public with what you know? And obviously, Julian Assange probably wants to just be left alone and go to Ecuador, is what I'd imagine, right?
I think that's probably it. I think what we have here, it's really important for the truth to be known. And I think the President of the United States needs to hear what the details are. And I understand that a meeting with myself and the President is being arranged. So at that point, the purpose is to alert the American people to the truth of what this whole
situation is. If he has the truth that will blow this lie out of the water that you're saying, and 99% certainty, does he deserve immunity if he reveals the truth to the American people?
Well, Well, if the truth is revealed to the American people, this is a game changer in this unrelenting hostile attack by the media and this power grab by the left wing. And if he helps thwart that, yeah, he deserves a reward.
All right, Dana Rohrabacher, we're going to have you back next week. We'll stay on this story.
Hey, this is Amazon Jude coming to you from Casper. I've been thinking a lot about this immigration and how everybody continues to fight against the border wall and don't want it because of some butterfly or some TT frog might not be able to make it over to his home ground to get horny. But I want to take you millennials back a little bit. I know your teachers aren't teaching you this in school, but it's something that we 50-something-year-olds learned in school before it got all propagandized with how great Muslims are and how great devil worshipping is and Common Core and all this crap that's going to screw up for the next 2 generations unless you kids stop paying attention to these liberal-ass teachers and actually research something besides your smartphones and your laptop. Back in, I believe it was close to the 16 or 1700s, when Europe was fighting a plague, and it was called the bubonic plague. Rats on ships that came over to Europe bringing goods and services and slaves had rats that carried this plague. So when the ships hit the shore, the rats got off naturally, and it killed, I don't know, million or hundreds of thousands of Europeans because it just didn't spread to one, particular state or I guess one particular area. It went all across Europe and killed millions of people. And the point that I'm bringing up to this is, if you notice in the United States, we've got typhus, scabies, tuberculosis, mumps, leprosy, all of these mumps, or I'm sorry, not just mumps, but all of these diseases that have been cured in the United States for decades, through immunization. When I was a kid, you got 7 of them. It was like mumps, rubella, polio. 7 of them. I can't even remember them anymore. But I still have the brown spot on my arm from when I was in school. And they used a gun back then because it was like, I think it was the polio 7-way shot, kind of like what they do cats when you take them to the vets, or dogs go to the vets. They have a 4-way vaccine that does several different diseases. Well, that's what we got. And I'm 54, and I still remember it. I never saw that mark on my child. And he's 31 now. And I went back and counted through how many vaccines he had to have by the time he was 18. So I had 7. He had 18, and now the requirement is 47. What are we vaccinating against? You know what it is? We're vaccinating against people who are coming into this country from countries that have not taken advantage of the vaccines of the world that were available for decades already to vaccinate their populations. And then when wars break out or whatever, they all run, it's like a ship, and all the rats run to one side of the ship and the other side's up in the air while the other ones are sinking. But it's the same thing. Okay, so the point I wanted to make on this more than anything is the fact that in 65 or 63, if I can, I was just born in 63, but I can remember my mom and dad talking about, because he was German, his grandparents were German, and they came over from Germany. They had to have vaccinations before they could enter the United States. Why are we not requiring this for these refugees and these illegals? This is like poisoning your own well. When they walk into the United States and they've never ever had a vaccination, one, and they're carrying these diseases, how long do you think it's going to spread to the general population of the parents that do not want to vaccinate their children with 47 vaccines, many of which, excuse me, contain mercury and have gone as far as to kill their children when they do it? You know, here we are again taking the short end of the stick on vaccinations. 47 vaccinations? Are you insane?